Elsewhere, what you see is a phenomena like Jesus Christ in between the two phenomena. The Holy Quran's concept of prophets and the Judaism's concept of prophets are in alignment with each other. In between you see a different phenomena, a prophet turned into God. That is the real phenomena which took over everywhere else in the world and distorted the figures of prophets to something closer to the concept of Allah than of that of a prophet. That is what happened everywhere, with the result that if you do not have access to their original books, so that you could draw your own conclusions and prove that originally they were prophets and not idols besides Allah, you just don't know them. You just have received a history in a package deal, and you have to accept that there were no prophets but just various gods and so on and so forth. But wherever you know, this is the result which I am telling you. And that makes sure that our general principle is correct. For instance, we know about Jesus Christ positively, that he never claimed to be a son of God. Bible still proves it, to the contrary of the belief held by the Christians. Yet he rose to that Godhood under the observant eyes from all sides, from the observant eyes of the Jews and the observant eyes of the Muslims and the world around. Somehow yet the figure of Christ escaped into the higher order of Godhood, and we see that phenomenon and observe it. And we know that Krishna was a reality in India and he was not a God. Yet he is turned into a God under our very observations. About his historical reality we can't have doubt. He was a historical reality. And we know of the wars as well, of Kurus and Pandus and all that. And we know that he was a man. Yet he is presented like a God. So wherever we had access for investigation, we always reached the conclusion that originally those who were prophets were turned into gods by their own people. So that makes us understand the previous history of every religion. And wherever there is a sign of religion, there you will find the same phenomena happening. And this is but natural. It had to be like this. Why? Please sit down. For another 5 or 6 months I will try to explain this. This is very interesting and very important, because there are two phases in the histories of prophets. One phase of extreme hatred and rejection. The people whom a prophet addresses do not want to bow their head to the yoke of an outside ruler who commands from outside as if from above and suddenly becomes the absolute dictator over them. He begins to control their earnings, their finances, their way of life, their love, their hatred, everything. Interferes into the very depth, nature of life itself. So it is not acceptable to them. What they say, what they turn back and say, look here, we know what you are. You are less than a man. And you are claiming to be more than a man by claiming that you are a prophet. This is how they treated Jesus Christ. In the early stage, they exactly said this, that you are not even a man because you are illegitimate. And you are talking of being a superman, how can we believe you? So this is the first stage. But once they begin to believe in him, there is a psychological reaction to exactly the opposite side. The swing of the pendulum is now moving in the opposite direction. And they begin to themselves to elevate him beyond the status of man. The previous attitude was, you are not even man, you are below man. And now they say, no, you are not man, you are above man. So the resultant is exactly the same in both cases. the rejection of prophethood. The point is that the man does not want to bow under the yoke of Allah's rule. He wants to be free, he wants to do what he pleases, and is not ready to succumb to a foreign pressure. In the first instance, he invented this excuse that you are not man, how could we bow to you, you are less than a man. And later on they invented an excuse for the rejection of future prophets, in fact. Now they would say to the next prophet, the previous one which we accepted, he was more than a man. He was superhuman. All his miracles and all that his way of life shows that he is something situated between man and Allah, but not an ordinary man. No, this is why we bow to him. We are too upright and too strong and too powerful to submit to your will, to man's will. So we never submitted to man anyway at all in the past. If you come as a superman, if you come as something beyond human beings, as we accepted the earlier one, we will accept you as well. So the resultant of both this distorted phenomena is exactly the same. In the first instance, it ended into the rejection of the previous prophet. The second phenomena is preparation for a rejection of the second prophet who is to come. And it all begins all over again. So this is the history of acceptance and rejection of prophets among all religions of the world. And the phenomena of distortion is common to everybody. Now I think it's time for prayer. Now prayer we have said already. All right, if somebody wants to ask a question, yes, Madhu side, please.
Yaqeen. It's not a question, but if I with your permission, sir, I would like to say, if I may, an observation about Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Sani, and it relates to his tour to Europe, while you also joined that tour.
In 1955.
In 1955. There was in 61, there was an English family, Mr. Mello, yes, Mr. and Mrs. Uni. If Mr. Bajwa is here, he will remember that family, Mr. Bashir Bajwa.
He was there.
And he was a controlled tenant, paying very nominal rent to the mosque. And they received instruction of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Sani that flat should be vacated, because Hazrat wanted the whole building exclusively for the occupation of his family. I said to Mr. and Mrs. O'Neill, would you be good enough now to find another alternative accommodation? They consulted their solicitor and they said, no, we are controlled and we have the protection of the law. Then I consulted late Hazrat Aziz bin Saab, and he said, well, in that situation we should consult our solicitor. So I approached my solicitor and he said, I'm sorry, they have the protection of the law. I wrote the same thing and I still received the instruction of Hazrat bin Sani that at all cost that flat must be vacated. And rather a very word of displeasure that while the relation of the Mughals had been come here and they have been accommodated, while the Khalifatul Masih is coming himself now say his excuse is taken that the family doesn't know. Well, anyway, I approached again the solicitor and he said, I tell you, would you like me to write you the leader that this is in this country law is the God, and there is no possibility to get him out, their family. And Hazrat said if every effort fails, then ask this family that we give a written promise that that family should go in a hotel and we will pay the whole and the total expense, and when we go, they will come back. And there my solicitor says,